Good morning, evening, afternoon, mid-brunch world. That wasn't a good way to start out, but it's morning to me. So, good morning to everybody in the Eastern time zone of the United States. It's a little bit before 9 o'clock. I've been awake for an hour. Um, I'm not particularly coherent, so I was felt like talking this morning. But upon listening back to what I had put together, I was like, yeah, this is a waste of time. No one should watch this. So I only sat through like about 10 minutes of it myself before I was like, that's no good. But anyways, I was going to run through, you could title this video, How to Mismanage Benzodiazepine Withdrawal. But it has been a year and a week since I first started withdrawing. And of course, if you're watching this, you probably know the story that the withdrawal was involuntary and started at 50%. I had already made up my mind before that I was going to quit benzos after a surgery that was upcoming, but my doctor said, well, the surgery will be more fun for him if he's going through withdrawal while he has it. So he just decided to, all that. Me in the elevator looking at the script saying, wait a minute, this doesn't say 60 pills, it says 30 pills. And then by the time the elevator hits the ground, my spirits are hitting the ground too, because I'm thinking, this could be very, very bad. I don't know how bad this is going to be, but this could be very, very bad. Because I had already experimented before that with withdrawing, and after about 3 days of taking half doses, I started to feel sick, like sick, and I would go back and to a full dose. Um, so I had a couple extra pills. So even though I got that script on the 16th, I didn't start withdrawing until the 18th. This is the 25th of this glorious munch, this glorious this glorious month of March. Alliteration, not my friend in the morning, apparently. Um, so, anyways, yeah. So I had a couple of grace days in there after I got my bad script where I had extra pills from, you know, like experimenting with withdrawal and saying, boy, 50% withdrawal, that's not fun. I didn't really enjoy that. So, anyways, now, if my doctor wasn't mentally ill and completely untrustworthy, the way this would have been managed was I would tell the guy that I would like to be off of benzodiazepines. Would you help me wean myself off of them? And he would be like, sure, buddy, old pal of mine. And then he would say, the way that we do that when you're taking one of the most powerful benzodiazepines there is to put you on a weaker one that has a longer half-life. And then, why, we'll just wean you off of that slowly. And, once you get switched from the powerful one to the less powerful one with the longer half-life, and then you'll be off of the stuff. And I'd be like, well, thanks, Mr. Sane, rational human being doctor. That's how it was supposed to go. But this guy was a lunatic with the way he managed my case. So I was scared to even bring up the V word with him. And so I was, after about 2 weeks at 50%, I was like, I don't think I can handle this. I've already lost 12 pounds. I'm not getting out of bed. And I called somebody that I knew that had some connections, and I was like, uh, I need to see if I can find me. I think I asked for Xanax originally, but I said like, I can't do this. I can't do a 50% reduction, and they got me Valium instead. I think that's how that occurred. And then I was like, well, this Valium stuff, I immediately felt better. I didn't feel like skipping and jumping, but it immediately lessened the withdrawal symptoms. And I was like, well, yeah, this is good. This is before I learned who Heather Ashton was or the Ashton method or anything. I was just like grasping at straws. I was a man drowning, reaching for whatever I could. And so the problem with that is the people that the connections are just people getting prescribed the pills, and they like have some extra ones they want to sell. So you're getting 10 pills, you're getting 15 pills. I think maybe once I got 20. Five, these are just little 5 milligram pills of volume 2, which is like the second, either the lowest dose they give or the second to the lowest dose they give. So it's not a lot of volume. So it doesn't work unless you have a steady supply, because what happens is you take the volume, it eases the withdrawal symptoms from the Xanax, and you can take less Xanax. But then when your volume runs out, you're back in the same crocodile infested waters that you just got out of in that volume boat. You're dumped back in the water, and so you got to have like a steady supply. So that's so I was doing that, and I was like going through periods, and then I was like, that's not the way you do it. But I was everybody was like, not everybody, but the people that would comment would be like, you need to find yourself a different doctor. And I'm like, well, I got circumstances like being sicker than hell, having a limited insurance. That means that finding different doctors not hard to do. So you feel sick, you have insurance that's not the best, and then you have transportation difficulties. You don't have a lot of people in your life that you can trust. And so I was like, I'm sticking with this guy. This guy is at least supplying me some Xanax, because it took me a while. I had to actually go into the office all fucked up, not sleeping all night, looking like hell, and in actual the beginnings of depersonalization, where everything in the room was looking weird, like you're on some kind of reverse drug trip, where like it's not that they're taking drugs to make you feel that way, it's the lack of drugs in your system. So you're looking around the room and you're like, everything looks freaking weird, and then you're having moments like where you're losing a couple of seconds. You're looking at your hand, and for a couple of seconds it's not your hand, and you're like, I'm like, yeah, I know what this is about. This isn't good, and this is happening while I'm in the doctor's office. So he sees me like that, and that got through to him. I said I was experiencing depersonalization and stuff. It's like that got through to him, and he's like, later on, I asked him on on that appointment, he offered to raise my dose back up to where he had it before he voluntarily dropped it, back up to 60 pills, where he just decided, well, 30 will do fine for you, without even talking to me about it. So he's like, we can up your dose back up to 2 times a day. Like, it's not a big deal. It's like, well, take 1 aspirin, take 2 aspirins. He had that kind of knowledge and attitude about benzodiazepines, just playing fast and loose with them. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I want off of the stuff. I don't want more of it. And then later on, of course, I kicked myself. And there's a video of me on here where I put this silly hat on my head for a dunce cap, because I was like, well, that would have cured all my problems, because I would have had a steady supply of the stuff that I'm physically dependent on. Like I said, yeah, I just should have rolled with it. But I was like having depersonalization and was so focused on getting off of the stuff that I was like, no, don't give me more pills and make my life easier. I want more drama and fear, and I want to be more afraid of running out of my pills, or having my doctor decide one day to drop it from 30 to 15 to 0, like a car, like running out of gas. And so, yeah, the next time I saw the guy, I was like, I had a different approach. I just, I got through to him somehow just by saying, um, look, we both know I have anxiety. One of the components of anxiety is that it makes you more anxious if you don't know what's going to happen next. So all I want to know is where we're going and where we're headed with this Xanax stuff. And that's a terrible paraphrase, but it is quite early in the morning, and I have a headache. But that's basically what I said. I said, I got anxiety, and if you don't know what's going to happen in the future, it messes with your anxiety even more. And so all I want to know is what, oh yeah, that's what I said. All I want to know is what is the plan here, and just being that blunt and in his face. He told me, he said, no, I'll never drop you off of Xanax completely. So, and I was like, well, I don't trust this guy. I still don't trust him, so I was still stockpiling and being real careful. And because he might forget that he said that. But yeah. So, anyways, that's all old news, and that's just like probably 7 minutes of your time wasted running through old news to setting up the story. But anyway, to bring out the new stuff. Um, so for 10 months, my case is mismanaged. I finally go to a different doctor, but it's just a psychiatric nurse at this place I started going to for counseling because uh, I was like, well, gotta find help somewhere. So from March 18th, I first got my legitimate script for Valium on December 7th. So however many months that is. I don't know. I'm guessing around 10 months, but I'm not doing the math. So I was going through how much Valium I was taking. Now through December, I was taking mainly quarter milligram doses of Xanax, and the Valium with it. So when I got that script on the 7th of December, I took 42 and a half 10 milligram Valium pills during the month of December. Now in January 4th was the last time I took Xanax, and will be the last time I ever take Xanax, as far as I know. You know, Lord knows what catastrophic, horrible thing could happen to me, where I'm in a hospital and I wake up, or what. I don't like saying never. I've had that word bite me in the ass too many times in my life to say never, but I never plan on touching Xanax again. I quit on the 4th. So from December 7th is when I had my steady supply of Valium, and then in less than a month, I quit Xanax altogether, which it's supposed to be like a 2 month thing minimum. And what you're supposed to do is you lower the Xanax while you raise the volume. So he was wanting me to take like 40 and 50 milligram pills, or 40 or 50 milligram doses of volume each day, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I just felt like being honest with this dude. I brought him my chart, and so he said, well, since you're doing this good, he's like, I'm going to put your dose at three 10 milligram pills of Valium a day. This happened sometime, like, I believe January 15th. Because I said I've been off Xanax now for 10 days and everything's fine. And I showed him my chart, and he's like, well, you did that quick. So I'm going to drop your dose. And it's like, well, there's another instance of me being stupid. I could just have more pills around. I just lied to the guy like a sensible person. So for the month of January, when I quit Xanax, I took 72 and a half pills when I was supposed to be taking uh, probably 120, because he did the 90 pill decree somewhere around January 15th. So I was probably supposed to be taking like 100. That's probably supposed to be taking like twice as much as that. But then in February, I took 66 pills instead of 90, when I know for sure I was supposed to be taking 90 pills. And this month so far, I have taken 53 and a half pills out of a 90 pill stash, um, or a 90 pill a month dose, and it is the 25th of March. So I'm kind of on target to take the same amount that I took in February, but March has been a horror show for me so far, because I've had two knee appointments, which I've recounted on here, which neither one of them were fun and got nothing done with my knee. And I had a not hideous but very persistent case of epididymitis, which is, if you're seeing me for the first time or didn't hear the other video, is a something, you have something wrong with your wedding tackle. Let's put it that way. Don't even like to talk about that stuff. But yeah, even as I'm talking about it, it's saying, yeah, I'm starting to feel. Don't even like talking about it. But yeah, that can become a chronic condition where you have random ball pain, and it's like so. That was on the 3rd when I was in the emergency room, the 3rd of March, I think, for that. And we're on March 25th, and I've been through 2 courses of antibiotics, and I'm still getting like little twinges of pain and stuff. So it's, that's something for my benzo anxiety to work on. Yeah, that's not something you want, I don't think, chronic epididymitis. Uh, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen. It could be just like sometimes it takes longer to get over things. And I had 2 different courses of antibiotics. I still have 2 pills left on my 2nd course of antibiotics for that. But this month has been a rough month also because I am sleeping on a vampire schedule where ordinarily I am not awake when it's bright out like this. When the sun's coming through the blinds, I'm not awake. And except for on days when I've had to go to appointments and stuff, I'm generally not awake during the day, or when I have to wake up for some reason. My normal time for waking up would be anywhere from 10 o'clock at night till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I would sleep at anywhere from noon to 2, So I would see the morning, but not in the way that I would like. Morning is when I'd start to get sleepy. For a while there, I was getting sleepy around dawn, when I was able to go to sleep. It's 6 or 7 in the morning. But so yeah, March has not been fun. So I'm kind of proud of myself that I'm not didn't updose on the Valium, even though uh, yeah, even though I have been taking the gabapentin, and that's why probably the first video was a freaking mess that I tried to make, is because I was barely awake, and I took I'm trying to figure out how to get my circadian rhythms where I like to be awake in the morning and get shit done in the morning. Like so, trying to get a normal non-vampire, non-Nosferatu sleeping schedule going. That would be cool. So I woke up wide awake at 11:24 p.m. last night, and I'm like, well, I want to take 10 milligrams of Valium and a gabapentin and half a milligram of blood pressure pill, metoprolol, and try to go back to sleep. It's probably not going to happen. I'll probably just be sitting there stoned and stupid watching TV, but I'm going to give it a shot. But it did work. I did go to sleep, so we'll see how that works out. Um, but yeah, so as far as like the benzo things, like I always felt like this should have been over a long time ago. You know, I mean, I was taking a quarter milligram a day back in April, and it's almost April now. That's almost a year ago. But you know the story. Uh, in June, I actually took 7 milligrams of Xanax to get through the whole month of June. I was doing really good. So, but everything fell apart from there, and the story's on here. Why that happened, I already gave you enough repeats in this video talking about my mentally ill uh, Dr. Wacky Pants guy, which all his doctor visits always would come out of there shaking my head like, this guy's not right, man. There's something wrong with this guy. Um, anyways, so today I have a couple things I got to do. I got to, they told me they would call me with a referral for my knee to get surgery. The place that I go to actually has surgeons in the title, Tri-County Orthopedic Surgeons, but they were like, we don't do enough of your type of surgery to feel comfortable doing it. So we're going to refer you to someone else, which could mean you have CRPS and compromised health, and your recovery chances and the chances of you maybe suing us, they just, if you have CRPS, it's a wild card type of disease. I'm kind of used to this where they pass you around or they don't want to treat you or they don't want to mess with you. So a lot of times, like when I go in and fill out my medical forms, I just leave the whole CPRS deal out of it so I can get treated. It's CRPS racism is what it is. But anyways, they're always like, we'll call you, but I already know I got to call them and I got to ask them what's up and I got to be proactive and all the stuff that I really don't feel like doing. I don't know if you can hear the garbage being picked up outside or whatever, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't hook up my microphone, or did I? Uh, well, the light's not on, so it must not be hooked up. So yeah, you can probably hear it, the banging and clanging and whatnot. But that's very distracting. So I'm going to take a pause here. We're going to have an intermission in the program. I'm going to drink some of this super powerful coffee. Uh, so yeah, here's the kind of people that I have in my life for help. You know, I do not like upper garment wear. I do not like shirts. I don't like anything to touch my hypersensitive skin. I am not proud of, obviously I'm covering up certain areas of my body. I am not proud that I have to appear on here like this. This is just the condition of my existence. But yesterday, I texted this guy and he just called me. And he's supposed to be like one of my bestest friends. And I was like, look, man, I've had a prescription. Uh, it was 4 volume, sitting in this drugstore for like days, and I haven't been able to get it. Can you help me out and pick it up for me? And it's like literally 2 minutes from his house, and my house is like 5 minutes away from his house, so it's no big deal. And I was like, yeah, and I got this $700 check that I've been sitting on that I would like to deposit in the bank. If we could manage that too, that would be awesome. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. So me, asshole that I am, and trusting and naive, and as he called me back in our 20s, gullible dude that I am, I sit there and I'm wearing like a sweatshirt and I got a hat on. It's about, I don't know, 48 degrees outside or 50 or something like that. And I'm waiting for him and I'm waiting for him and I'm waiting for him. And I'm like, well, he did say he had a headache and he wanted to wait till it would be a couple hours, so that's okay. But he shows up on a Harley and like, I can't feel my legs. I can't keep my legs on the pegs on a Harley. So I'm not going to sit in a bitch seat on a Harley. And I'm like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to deposit my money in the bank, which would have been really nice. He forgot all about it. He's like, oh, I forgot all about that. I heard that the weather wasn't too bad, so I decided to break out the Harley. And I was like, yeah, well, thanks for that, you know. And he wasn't exactly weeping in tears with sorrow over the fact that he did that and inconvenienced me in that manner. And he did not offer to, like, since he lives 5 minutes away, go back and get the car so we could do that. So yeah, that's the kind of people I have that depend on. They're more like albatrosses than handholds. Rather than rungs on a ladder, they're more like weights around you. Uh, but yeah, that was like, oh man, I just sat here uncomfortable in this chair, looking out the window, waiting for this dude for over 2 hours, and he shows up on a motorcycle, knowing I can't ride a motorcycle, even if I wanted to be in the bitch seat and have, hug him. I mean, oh, jeez. So today my plan is to call the landlord and like say, look, man, since I can't, I'm gonna go nuts eventually just from being inside too much because the leg means I cannot walk without the danger of fall and serious injury. It's so I hardly leave. I hardly go outside except for appointments. And I actually took my electric bike that I used to do my business on and go to the drugstore and get my own pills and stuff on. I locked it away from myself in the hallway closet in a place that I can't get it out by myself. Because this closet has a giant door, and whatever genius who put it together made the hinges swing inward instead of outward. And I don't know if you understand what that means, but just trust me, I can't get that bike out of there. It's stuck there, which is what I wanted because uh, I knew that their temptation would be for me to not deal with these crazy drug-addled people and just take care of things myself. But that bike ain't safe for me. If I take a spill on that bike with this screwed up knee, I don't even know if I can get on and off it. The last time I rode it, I had trouble getting on and off of it, um, especially off of it. So it's touch and go whether I'm going to hit the concrete or not. I can't do that. I don't really have anybody to depend on. I can't really. That's my transportation for doing my little chores in the neighborhood here. So I had to actually lock that away from myself and take that away as an option. But yeah, so I'm talking to the guy now. 9 years ago, I bought a boat. I thought I would be doing fishing with this guy. I moved to this city because I was friends with this dude, and there's this other dude that lives in this city that's a guitar player, and I thought, well, we can play guitars together. I can have like friendships, and uh, we go fishing together on this boat. And all be have a good time and whatever. Yeah, it's been a real good time living here in this city. Loved it. Got never been on the boat once. Uh, got addicted to benzodiazepines, or rather physically dependent upon benzodiazepines. Since I don't want the things, that's the difference. I don't. If you want them, if you think about them, like if I had a cigarette right now, if I start thinking about a cigarette, I want a cigarette. I don't ever think about, boy, I'd like to have a pill and stuff. A pill on my face right now. Never think like that. Anyways, so I moved to this city. My knee goes to shit like 4 years ago, where I can got a Baker cyst in my knee. I developed a benzodiazepine dependency about 3 years ago. I had my heart shocked uh, 4 times since I've been living in this city the last 8 to 9 years, and I'm sure there's other stuff I'm leaving out. So it's been a horror show. But the thing about this boat is like he had it in his garage because I don't really have any place to store it around here. So he had it in his garage, but he decided that he was going to be a biker and buy motorcycles and stuff. So it got crowded in his garage. So without asking me, he's like, I moved the boat. He just told me one day, he's like, I moved your boat and I put it in the neighbor's yard. I got permission to store it out there, so it's sitting out in the weather and whatnot. I haven't even seen it for 3 years. My boat, I don't even know what kind of boat it is or what kind of motor it has. I don't even know. I know very little about it. This thing that I bought for $1,500 back in the day. So, but now he tells me the guy whose yard he has it stored in is moving. I don't know where, but he said, "Oh, the guy would be happy once he moved to still store it on his property." And I'm like, I don't want that. I was talking to somebody else, and I was just trying to give him the boat, and it wouldn't be much trouble to sell it all because this is boat season. This is when you sell a boat. If you're in a northern climate, is when spring comes. So I'm like, I've got to make arrangements. I think I can store that like right along the side of the building right here because of my crappy landlord who lets drug dealers live there. There used to be a family man that lived in this house over here that might have objected to me storing a boat like with the wheels on his grass or whatever, which I have some cement there, and that's where the garbage cans generally go. And then there's not a lot of room there, but I think there might be enough room where I can just store the boat over there. But anyways, like I said, once the meth head situation developed here, he's like, I'm out of here. And he left. So there's nobody living in that house there, so it doesn't matter. And I plan on selling the boat as soon as possible. I don't know shit about Craigslist. Never used it, but I just put it on eBay, and I don't care about how much I get for it. I'll just get rid of it. It's not going to some. I've never even met the guy that it's being stored on, and he's like, well, he's happy. This person that you've never met, don't know the name of, never seen, will take your boat and move God knows where with it, and take your boat with you and store it there. Okay, crazy person, we're not doing that. I guess so I have to call my cop friend and ask him if he'll haul my boat, and we'll park it out here. I have to look at the lay of the land as far as like how doable it is, though. Um, but I think we can do it that way. He said he's moving pretty quick, so there's not probably going to be a lot of time for me to sell it. It would have to be sold. Like he said, he's moving pretty quick, so that's I have to think. I got that added burden on my brain. Like I need anything else without being it, with having a blood clot in my knee that needs operated on, and having buku problems upon problems. I talked in the first video briefly about a CRPS symptom that I didn't even know was part of CRPS. I found out when I was in my 20s, um, that they just call them lesions, which sounds horrible, and they are horrible. But it basically like the skin down to the subdermal layer just disappears. Your skin just disappears, and you just got like this open, painful area with no skin. It doesn't bleed for some reason. But I thought I burnt my leg because I don't have all that good a feeling, and I put like a microwave meal on my lap with shorts on, so I was like, oh, I burnt my leg. But now that I'm looking at it, it looks more like one of those, like a minor, one of those lesion things. The thing about that symptom of CRPS is it takes forever to heal. You can have one of them things for like 3 months before it heals, depending upon how big it is and how stubborn it is. What it usually looks like, and I know this is not fun for people to hear, but what it usually looks like is it looks like a very, very heavy, thick scab, like where the skin like died or something. And then it has an outskirt like a red ring around it. And then if you leave it untreated and not cared for, it just grows and gets worse. So I didn't know what it was, and it was on my hip, and I didn't know that that was a symptom that you got with that. And I left it alone, and then I showed it to a doctor. And this was so long ago. This was a guy that started out as my pediatrician. He was the guy who diagnosed my spinal tumor when I was 16 years old and sent me to get it operated on. So this is how long ago this was. And he was wanting to send me to a wound center over it because I made up a cover story because I didn't know what it was, and I just said that I fell and hit the road and injured myself. So he wanted to send me to a wound center, and I'm like, well, that's not really. I'm not exactly sure why I made that story up and lied to the doctor, but I lied to him, and I told him that I felt like there would be like a battery of tests thrown at me if I said I don't know where this is or what this is or where this came from, but it was buku, man. It scarred up pretty bad, and they do leave scars because it's like it's not just the top layer of your skin gone. It's like it's all the way down. It's like it's deep. They take forever to heal, and they're quite painful. That thing on my leg, like it hurts right now. So um, that's one of the. I don't get them very often. I mean, I have some scars from them, and I've maybe had like 8, 9, 10 of them over 32 years. I don't know how many I've had. I don't. I got a scar. Thinking about some of the scars that I have, but I haven't. One of my great fears was getting one on my face, of course, because my face is tough to look at enough without something like that on it, and having to go around with a bandage on your face and stuff, and then, ugh, you know, uh, the only one that I've had, like, on my upper body was, like, right here on my shoulder, and it was just a little tiny thing, and it freaked my brother-in-law. I was helping my brother-in-law rip up some tile off of his kitchen floor, and he's like, "What happened to your back?" And I explained it to him. He was like, oh, I was like, well, that's just a little thing, man, the size of a dime or a nickel. I said, he said, I was thinking to myself, that's nothing. Um, but anyways, yeah, so I got that now, so that's fun. I don't have medical supplies to deal with that. And I was like, man, I can't be ordering more stuff off of Walmart. I don't want to ask, you know, it's like, ugh, it's all confusing. It's all too hard when you can't, uh, you don't have transportation. You can't truck yourself around. The people you depend on all either have emotional problems and or substance issues. But let me see if I can do this reach around here. I don't know why I'm so modest talking about something like this, but like this has actually got yellowed. I haven't used them for so long, thank God. But I would buy these pads like this big, and rather than band-aids, sometimes it take like 2 or 3 band-aids, and then those things work better. And you take medical tape and you do a little triage to yourself. Don't What you do for them is just clean them out with alcohol, put medicated ointment, and bandage them up, and keep them out of the air, and that arrests their development, and gradually they start to heal. In the meantime, you go through like 2 or 3 months of additional pain, and it's on the top of my leg, so and it's not even that big, but I can feel it right now. It's just another added pain. So yeah, CRPS is fun. Going through the whole benzo nightmare. It's like even under like ideal conditions, it's horrible. I've had like less than ideal conditions going through this, and even having like emotional support, it's still difficult to go through. If there's a whole range of how people react from that get benzo dependent when they get off of it. I've actually heard somebody in the real world say that, yeah, I miss those things sometimes, and then they said, well, I was never really addicted to them. He's like, that's all they said about it. It's like, I miss those things sometimes. It wasn't no big deal to them, and that was the person that inadvertently got what's given them to me, and I was in a weakened frame of mind, so I didn't look them up, and I just thought it was another downer, and I like downers, so I was like, I just complained to him that I wasn't sleeping, so that's how I got in. She was actually the person that got me inadvertently dependent and put me through this 3-year ordeal, and this a year and a week of withdrawal that I've been going through with it. Um, but for that person, it didn't have much effect on them at all. You know, for me, it plunged me into some kind of netherworld, and it's even worse for other people uh, than what I went through. Um, yeah, that trifecta that I hit on the 18th when this all started was the flu type B, 50% benzo reduction withdrawal, and CRPS all at the same time. And yeah, that was 2 weeks in hell. So that's when I started buying the. I was like, I can't take this anymore, and I had connections, and I called somebody, and That's when I started getting the volume uh, illegally, and I was like, wow, what a difference! I feel so much better, And there's a video of me on here saying, "Glimmer of hope," or something like that. It's called, where I'm like, I got up and I did the dishes. That was the first time I got up and was able to do anything for 2 weeks. I said I was never so happy to do the dishes in my entire life. And those dishes were sitting in the sink for over 2 weeks. And now, because of my knee and because of the way it is, I feel like I should throw all my dishes out. They've been sitting in the sink so long. I had paid some people to do some housework, but they showed up with some tall boys, and I even like prepped the dishes because standing there hurts my leg, so it's just like I'm in pain the whole time. So I prepped the dishes and put them in a little bit of bleach water and got them all ready to be done. And then these people got too drunk to get much done, especially the one person. So I didn't get my dishes done. I just drained the water. And I was thinking, man, I had to like stand there as long as I can take it and do a few dishes each day. I mean, those dishes. I hate to say this, but they've been in the sink uh, 2 months now. So that's how messed up my knee is. It's like I have to. It's like I have to. It's like when you're on low rations, food wise. I have to ration what I can do with my knee. You know, and sometimes just getting around the house and walking here and walking there. That's all I can do. I can't. Um, yeah. When I call my landlord today, I could maybe ask about getting some help in here, but I don't trust that guy either. And I don't know. It's like the whole Benzo thing's difficult enough, and when you have added difficulties thrown into it, it's like I feel like this should have been over a long time ago. And if I had a sane doctor and I had sane, rational people in my life, and this all should have been over like a long time ago. And I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm now done with Xanax. I'm on Valium, and I'm taking less Valium than I'm being prescribed. And but I still have to deal with the knee surgery. And after the knee surgery, there's going to be rehab and physical therapy. And I don't know. That's the thing that's scaring me the most about the surgery is like, what if I can't take care of myself at all? It's like, what then? You know, am I going to have to like rely on the guy on the motorcycle for help? Right, relying on people like that, relying on some alcoholics to come and help me out. Is it going to have to be like professional people? But anyways, my landlord has this guy that cleans houses for like $15 an hour. That I was thinking about having him come through here and clean some stuff up, get them dishes out of the sink and clean my bathroom and stuff. Because I've recovered from my financial disaster of last month, where I was like, I just spent all my money. I don't know why people do that. Maybe it was a reaction to me just laying around or whatever, but I just spent all my money, spent all my savings to the point where I was worried about getting overdraft fees and stuff. And I've recovered from that though. And I talked to that person that owed me that money, and they wrote me that check. They wrote me a check for $700, which is, I don't know if I already said this or not, but that's what I'm going to call the landlord today about. I'm going to pay the rent for next month, and then for part of the uh, following month. Just sign the check over to them and say just write it down. Um, yeah, I don't know if I said that or not, or if I don't know if I'm repeating myself. I don't, obviously, I don't feel all that great this morning, and I'm still under the effects probably of the garbage truck. Yeah, gabapentin Valium mixture, which does weird things to me, but that's what I kind of been relying on for pain relief from the knee. All I can hope is no more disasters hit me. And yeah, it's bad. The anxiety associated with benzo withdrawal is bad enough, but when you have actual real things to worry about, like testicular infections, lesions, uh, bad knees, and family drama, and bad living circumstances with the noise in the building. Now I got to worry about this stupid boat thing where I gotta take care of that too. I mean, like the thing about it is life goes on. And if you don't have like a caretaker, if you're by yourself and you don't have like a spouse or a caretaker person or like people that are sober and rational that would consider helping you out. Like I have somebody like that. I have one person that's sober and rational, but he is a very busy man, and you know, I'm gonna ask him to help me haul the boat, park it over there. That's about it. Um, yeah, this is when it would be nice to have help, but I don't have help. I have non-help. I have anti-help. I have, I have people that are so that the day that I had my disastrous knee procedure, where I found out I had the blood clot, they were complaining to me and dumping their problems on me. It's like, why don't you wait till tomorrow? When I'm not like 5 hours from finding out I have a blood clot in my knee and finding out that I'm not going to get any relief from this knee, which I thought I might get from the failed procedure that I had. I just had tubes jammed into my knee like 5 hours ago, and you're sitting there complaining to me about your problems. You know, okay. So that's the most terrifying thing to me is like the idea of dependency after. If I have a knee surgery, I'm assuming there's going to have to be some rehab involved. I'm assuming I'm going to be able to take less care of myself even than I can now. Which now basically I just rely on Meals on Wheels service they have for crippled people, and I eat those meals occasionally. I get someone to bring in some bread or some yogurt or something like that to add. You can't live on frozen dinners; it's not good for you. Um, I lost my thought there, so I should probably get off here. It's about 47 minutes. But whatever that thought or sentence was going to be, it just died in utero before I got born. Um, but yeah, that's my main fear now is like, yeah, what happens if this knee really immobilizes me and I become even more dependent? Because like when you grow up in a crazy house and you're dealing with crazy people all the time, it's like you don't want to be dependent on people who have alcohol, substance problems, who are not right emotionally in the head, who are, like the one person like decided to cry on their shoulder after 29 years. They hadn't heard me cry for 29 years, and they'd cried on my shoulder many times, so I naturally picked them to have my little breakdown with, and they were like that, that Game of Thrones ice wall. Yeah, they were like a personification of that wall. I was one of the crazy wildlings on the other side of that wall, smashing on that ice unsuccessfully. And they were like even going so far as saying that I was playing the martyr and stuff. And I'm like, oh, at the time I'm having a breakdown, but many things occur to me to say after the fact, like, yeah, I'm one hell of a martyr. This is the first time you've heard me cry in 29 years, you know. And then I have to try to explain that to their daughter. Like, you've been alive for 36 years. You can't understand this, And I've talked to this other person about it, and I'm like, you, you don't understand, like, you can't understand that much time. Because the last time, if you subtracted 29 years from your life, you know, you're playing with Barbies, or to the guy, you're 7 years old. You don't understand 29 years. If you're in your 30s, you can't comprehend 29 years, what that means or what that's like. Um, but anyways, so I don't really have like a family anymore. I have like individual people I don't go to family functions or nothing like that, because like I told someone, it's like I would rather handle a live rattlesnake than to talk to that person that I had that breakdown with, and they treated me like that. Because if I get bit by the rattlesnake, I can go to the emergency room and I can get some kind of anti-venom and I can get some help. But there wasn't no help for what she did to me. Or like, because that shook up my whole emotional world. It's like, if I can't trust that person, who the hell can I trust? They're just not right emotionally in the head. They're also, but it's like, if I can't trust that person, it's like, who can I trust? And then I started figuring out, like, I really can't trust any of these people as dependable. Like, this guy has got issues, but he will do what he says. So, when he paid me, said he'd pay me back that money, he paid me back that money. This other guy that showed up on a motorcycle, he just like, and forgot. And, so I didn't get to deposit the $700 from the dependable guy. So you know, this is not ideal circumstances to withdraw from anything, but I still feel like I'd be off of this stuff if I didn't have all these added difficulties and I didn't have an deranged physician, a an asinine apothecary, um, an abnormal apothecary. I was trying to think of a word beginning with A that equaled mentally imbalanced or insane. But is there such a word? Can you think of one? I can't. Um, but yeah, so my life is it is what it is. You know, um, I still get the joy of being me. I still, there's still one person that likes me. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I've said it before. The person that you got to spend the most time with is yourself. If you don't get along with yourself, you got a problem. I get along pretty well with myself, and I have a pretty clean conscience about the way I behave and treat other people. So, you know, as corny as it sounds, be good for goodness sake. Just because, just being a good person, you sleep better. You got that clean conscience. You're not worried about making enemies, and um, it's just a better way to be. Now, the only enemies that I made recently were the people that were threatening my life in the summer, but they're long gone, and I don't even think about them anymore. I don't. I even been turning off the light at night in the living room for a while there, for months after I had my life threatened. I was leaving lights on in the living room, just to make it look like I was awake, because you got to take death threats seriously. And I busted up a whole. Not, I'm not saying I did it, but I am the guy that pushed the pebble at the top of the hole. Top of the hole. I pushed the pebble at the top of the hill and got the ball rolling, and I was the guy that was the impetus for destroying the meth trade around here. And yeah, the cops, they became aware of it through complaints from other people, and I was just one of the many complainers. But as far as the building, and as far as the people that ended up squatting up there, in their view, I was the guy that disrupted their whole game. You know, I mean, if you're sitting there on a Sunday morning and you barely get to drink your coffee and the window's open and a meth head looks in your window and tells you, "If I were you, I'd change my motherfucking last name." I mean, yeah, you're not gonna sleep easy, because I have a policeman friend, and this is also common knowledge. I don't know for anybody that's watched Breaking Bad, but tweakers don't sleep. They get irrational and are among the most violent criminals there are. So, yeah, I had to make enemies in that situation, but generally I don't make enemies, and generally I treat people kindly and respectfully, and I'm a good person, and that is a better way to go through life. And that's why I say, like, goodness is its own reward. But no, I don't even think about getting jumped with a baseball bat anymore or anything like that, like I used to. Used to, like, look both ways when I went outside. for after the squatters got finally evicted and got their shit thrown out of here. Um, because of the situation. But reviewing a little bit, I got that scary cop on my side, and he threatened them very, very convincingly. And he was a very scary dude. Looked like Michael Chiklis from The Shield, except for bigger. And yeah, you can go back and review that if you like, but you probably already know the story if you're watching this. I mean, come on, 55 minutes into something. It's unlikely that somebody stumbled on this guy and like, wow, this guy that's shirtless and covering up his nipples with his hands, it's just so goddamn fascinating. I have to listen to him for 55 minutes. Probably not the case. You're probably somebody that has a benzo issue that stumbled upon me and maybe um, finds my struggles like interesting, or maybe you're like, it makes you feel. This one guy said it's like kind of makes. He had like a little bit of the Schadenfreude, I think it is, the German word for like taking pleasure in the misery of others. But he was like, there's something that makes me feel better uh, when you talk about how miserable your existence is. Like, okay, because isn't it Schadenfreude? I don't know. It's some German word for people that take delight in other people's misery. But not saying that you're like that. But this one guy uh, wrote me a message along those lines. And he was also like, what part of your life isn't a train wreck? I don't know. But yeah, I just, if I can just get myself, like I said, back to my normal level of misery where I can take care of myself and walk around on my leg with confidence, lift my weights, and, you know, I'll be a happy camper. It won't be you know, and what a dumb expression that is. But I'll be a happy dude, and, even with the CRPS, I don't know. I don't know what to attribute that to, but it is. I think I think having a clean conscience, being a good person, and knowing that you're a good person. I think all that stuff's important, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that to yourself. That you're not an egomaniac if you realize that you're a good person. And the problem is, there's a lot of people that aren't good people that believe that they are. It's like everybody likes to think they're a good dude, but in my case, I think it's true. If you think about that, like there's a lot of people that are like, it reminds me of that ride that I had where the guy was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I knew your uncles. Those were good guys." And then he tells me a story about him bashing people's heads in with pool cues and stuff. But they were good guys. So everybody likes to think, oh, that they're good guys, and that they have reasons for the things that they do, even if it's bashing somebody's head in with a pool cue. But that's it. That's all it repeats. So, anyways, this is about an hour. So this is about my usual length for things, and it's about 10 o'clock. So I could text my landlord, see what he's up to, see if he wants to be paid. Let me think. Gee, I wonder, would he like to be paid a month and a half of rent in advance? I wonder if he'll like that idea. That should be a problem. And talk to him. I don't know about asking his cleaner guy to come in here and clean the place up or whatever, but man, it needs it. That's for sure. But anyways, that's enough of me. That is approximately an hour on the nose. So I hope you're doing better than me. And like the other video, man. It's a climb to a mountain, so you're gonna have your ups and downs. That doesn't mean you're going backwards. When you feel bad, doesn't mean you're backsliding. As long as you're not like taking more stuff. When you take more junk, when you take more of the stuff, that's when you're backsliding. But if you feel bad, that doesn't mean you're backsliding. That means that you're having a downtime you know, you're climbing that mountain. That mountain is not straight up. It has little valleys in it. So, you know, I just like that image, man. I'm just climbing that mountain. So, this the way I feel this morning is just another little dip in the mountain, you know, and then I'll have a good day, and then that will be like a that will be like an upward swing or upward trend. It reminds me, I don't know what those graphs are called, but it reminds me of those graphs like of the stock market. Your stock is rising, I assure you. As long as you're sticking to the less benzo intake plan, your stock is rising, even if you feel bad. And that flag at the top of the mountain that says wellness, you're going to get that sucker, man. You're going to hold it up. And you're going to look at that and you're going to be like, this is like the hardest thing I ever earned. Because it is a hard climb, man. But it is a mountain. Um, anyways, all I can say now is adios.